So, Joe, what's so interesting about your life and your career is that here you are almost 39 years old and you're playing, you might think differently, but I think back now to the year that you guys had sort of the magic run to the Super Bowl, including that overtime game in Denver and all of that stuff. And I wonder, for people who don't really understand how you've been able to come in and sort of hit the ground running right now, what would you say?
Oh man. Listen, I think when you've been able to be thrown into a bunch of different situations and playing a bunch of different types of football games, where all kinds of different things are needed to win the game. Once you get thrown back out there and you're with the guys in the huddle and you're on the field, you kind of get thrown right back into it, man, and you feel like you've been there forever. So I think I've obviously been, awarded that luxury of just having that experience, so when I do take the field, no matter what's happened during the week and how prepared I am because I just got here a week ago, you can trick yourself into thinking, okay, I'm ready to go. I've been here before. I think that's a big part of it.
My first memory of you is at training camp with the Ravens in 2008, when I think, anyway, the defense led by Ray Lewis was really trying to maybe not intimidate you, but was trying to see whether you had the stuff to step in and be the quarterback right away. And I have this distinct memory of, I think you were at Westminster that year,
Yeah.
distinct memory of Ray Lewis standing right across the line from you, probably 4 feet away from you, and just screaming and just calling out all these things and yelling and sounding just like Ray Lewis. And you just stood there for a minute and you stared across the line. And I remember I wrote, it was like Flacco was saying to Lewis, "Are you done?" And as soon as he finished, you called your play and you went on. And I said something to Lewis after practice. I said, I told him that story and I said it looked like he wasn't going to be intimidated. He goes, "No." And he said, "We really like that about him so far." So you recall much about that and your sort of trial by fire early in Baltimore?
Yeah, here's what I know about that locker room is there was a bunch of grown men in that locker room, man, that had their heads on straight and they knew how to approach football, whether it was practice, games, off seasons. They were just, you weren't going to survive if you went into that locker room and didn't know how to, handle yourself. So that was definitely important for me. It always is important to me. I mean, even coming here in Cleveland right now, like you want to become a part of a locker room, and there's certain ways to do that. And you got to hold your head up high and be able to react to anything and look right down the barrel and handle it. So, like I said, there was a bunch of men in that locker room. So if you weren't going to be able to be that type of personality, um, then you would have got exposed pretty quickly. And that's what I love about those guys, man. Some of the best teammates I've ever had. Just love playing football, and some of the toughest guys you'll ever see.
But you've never been the type of holler guy like that. You just,
No,
yeah, you're more of lead by example type.
yeah, it's not about the hollering. I mean, even with Ray Lewis, I mean, Ray's great at doing that stuff and getting people pumped up and giving the speeches and all that. But that's not what makes Ray Lewis Ray Lewis. I mean, what makes him is he shows up every single day. And when he has a chance to make a tackle, he makes that tackle. And when he has a chance to change the game, he does it. And, I think some of those things, obviously people with Ray, I mean, they know both parts. They know how good he is on the field and they know how good he was off the field. That was just his personality. And you don't have to be just like that. Like I said, you just have to be able to hold your own and prove that, you can be tough and you can come through in those situations.
Joe, let's fast forward of only 15 years to what happened this past off season to you. I talked to Joe Linta, your agent and friend, and he kept telling me that the thing that really surprised us is not necessarily, people aren't going to give Joe a starting job right now. They're not going to hand that to him, but that they wouldn't even work him out. And that's the thing that really bothered Joe. And I wondered, as the fall went on this year and your phone simply wasn't ringing, were you bemused, shocked, surprised? What were you?
Listen, I think you get to see a lot when you've been around the league. I mean, you've covered the league for a really long time, and I've been in it a fair share myself at this point. You've seen a lot of things, and there's different reasons for things. I mean, um, I wasn't necessarily shocked. I mean, part of me, was for sure, but ultimately, I think you can probably find a reason for maybe why things didn't happen. And Joe was probably more worked up about it than I was, just because that's his job. I mean, my job was to stay focused on what I was doing and stay in shape and make sure that I was ready if something happened. So I was able to kind of compartmentalize it enough to not think about all that stuff. I was able to kind of stay in my lane and just take it day by day. And I think that was important just for myself mentally, because obviously I proved to have gotten a call. And if I had a different, I think if I had a different, focus throughout the first few months of the fall, I don't know if I would have reacted the same when I got here. I don't know if I would have been in the right mental, mindset to kind of take advantage of the opportunity. So I think the fact that I was able to stay positive and just take it day by day, it definitely allowed me to make the most of the opportunity.
What was your mental mindset as the fall droned on?
Listen, like I said, I kind of extended my off season and just kind of kept doing my work. And listen, of course, some doubt creeps in as to whether I've played my last football game or not, especially as the season moves on and on and on and on. Um, but listen, at the same time, there's nothing I can necessarily do about that. And I'm not going to sit at home and cry about it. I'm going to just do my work and, have a little bit of faith that something might happen.
Can you tell me what an average day for you was in September and October, an average weekday with
Yeah.
you got five kids, right?
Yeah. So I wake up, get in the cold tub, cook some eggs up for the kids, get ready, get dressed to go work out. My four oldest kids walk to school. My youngest in kindergarten, I drive him to school, and I drop him off anywhere from 7:50 to 8:05, and then whether I was working out at 8:30 or 9:30, I kind of head right over to the gym, or I come home for a half hour and then head over to the gym, and then my day's over about 11:30 noon. And then, I took it. Listen, some days I took advantage of it. Me and my wife went out and had lunch. Other days I called my brother up and we went out to the pickleball courts, played pickleball for 2 hours. Um, but I was in the gym and throwing 2, sometimes 3 days a week. And other than that, I was, trying to keep my head on right and enjoy time with my family. And then my kids got home at 3:30 and they biked around the neighborhood and got up all their friends. And I played quarterback in the front yard for an hour 3 times a week. Um, and then from 5 o'clock on, we ate dinner and drove the kids to a million different things. So, pretty typical for most dads probably around the country,
Yeah.
or
So
at least if they had the day off, I guess.
do you think that have you figured out at all what the next iteration of Joe Flacco is? I mean, do you have any idea what it is you want to do with your life?
No, no. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I know what I enjoy doing. I mean, in terms of a profession, I don't know. Um, it's funny. The NFL is such a special thing, just because I mean, this year's a little different because I'm away from the family a little bit, but even while you're playing in this league, you get such a good amount of time to spend with your family. You don't travel that much. You don't do all those things. So it's not like when I'm done playing, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to spend all this time with my family. I already do that, and
Yeah.
it's already a lot of fun, and I'm sure it'll become more fun. And when they start getting into sports and stuff like that in high school, it's going to be that much more fun. But as far as what I want to do, I don't know. I'm going to focus on what I'm doing right now. Um, I remember Steve Bisciotti talked to us when I might have been a rookie, and he was just one of the things I remember him saying was just like how important it is to stay in the moment and focus on what you're doing right now. And of course, you can have other things come along and other opportunities and make the most of those, but it's really important to kind of make the most of what I'm doing right now. I mean, this is the most important thing besides my family that I have in my life, and it has been for such a long time. And to be able to share that with them at this point, that's all I'm really worried about.
Do you get a lot when you walk into the locker room where you treat it all like the old man? Or how was it when you first got into the Browns locker room?
I think at this point, it's kind of easy. The fact that I'm a little bit older, it makes it a little bit easier to walk into a locker room, because these guys have some kind of view as to who you are and what you're like, just because, like, they saw from afar or wherever that, from a time that a lot of these guys were probably, in elementary school. So it's a unique experience to kind of be able to feel like that old guy in a locker room. And because guys just kind of naturally look at you in a little bit of a different way. But at the same time, it's been unbelievable how some of the guys have just kind of welcomed me in. You still have those feelings. I don't care how many different locker rooms you've been in. You want to come in and you want to have an impact and you want to become a part of the team and you want guys to make you feel like you're a part of the team. So the guys have been just great.
I want to ask you a little bit about football and about how you've played so far. Obviously, you know this, that the Browns have been one of the storied franchises in the NFL, born by Paul Brown in 1946. And in all of that time, that they've never had a player who's thrown for 300 yards 4 games in a row. And you walk in and you do it. And that's why I think people really wonder about how much help you've had from your coach, from Kevin Stefanski, from Alex Van Pelt, your coordinator, from the guys on this team. What do you think when you look at what's allowed you to come in and it be so seamless on this transition to your new team?
Man, it's everything. I mean, everybody likes to make a big deal, but we always talk about this, like how everybody just makes a big deal about quarterback, and it is important, right? But I try to like I think I've kind of come up with a decent way to describe it. Like, imagine you're out there and you're on a Wednesday and you're playing scout team quarterback, and you could bring whoever you want to play scout team quarterback on a Wednesday. When the defense has everything covered, you're not going to do that great of a job in terms of completion percentage and touchdowns thrown and all that because they're all over everything. Playing quarterback has so much to do with the play caller, the offensive line, the running backs, the wide receivers, all doing their job and getting open. I mean, I threw a corner route to Elijah Moore last night for a touchdown. I mean, imagine if he doesn't get open there. Then it's just another incomplete pass. I mean, all my job was to do was to hit him once he got open, and Kevin called the play. I mean, obviously, you have to be able to do that in the moment and just play football and make the most of those opportunities when they come up. But I mean, this position is reliant on everybody, and I think that's gotten away from. I think the fact that this is like the ultimate team sport has kind of gotten away from us to a certain extent. Everybody wants everything to come down to one guy, or two
Right.
guys, and it's
Yeah.
just it's just not the case, man. That's why this sport is so special. That's why winning a game in this at this level is so special because those guys in that locker room, we all know it. It's about everybody, and it literally takes everybody. I look at the job the coaches have done this year, Kevin, Alex. Um, it's unbelievable. Look how many guys that have been injured on our roster, and these guys continue. Um, Jim Schwartz. I mean, it's incredible. Like everybody has just stepped up and come through in the clutch.
And your chemistry early on with Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Elijah Moore, what do you think of when you think of why you have been able to sort of form a good bond with those guys so quickly?
I think the offensive line has done a great job, so it's awarded me like room in the pocket and chance to look down the field. We've gotten a good amount of chunk plays, whether that's getting the ball in Dave's hands 5 yards down the field and letting him do the rest, whether that's Elijah and Amari kind of running up and doing their little 20-yard little routes and finding holes in the defense. But we're talking about good players. I mean, Amari Cooper. I mean, come on, like if you can't gain chemistry with him, in a relatively quick time period, then something's wrong. He's just too good. Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets open in time, and it makes your job a lot easier. That's for sure.
Your touchdown pass to Jerome Ford against the Jets was something that I'm not saying that nobody thought you had that in you, but when you started running to your left, did you think right then that you were just going to try to get 3 or 4 yards
Yeah,
and that was it? And what happened?
yeah. I thought I was going to be able to run for the first at some point. I felt like okay, I just got hit, move. Oh, I got a lot of room over here. Let's go. And then Jerome did a great job. As soon as I moved, when you watch the film, as soon as I moved, he went. And he just got in my vision. And the one thing I was worried about is like, oh my gosh, was I past the line of scrimmage there? I didn't
Yeah.
think I was. I didn't think I was, but every now and then you have that thought. And I looked immediately over to the sideline and I saw the first down marker and I was like, okay, yeah, I was behind it. But yeah, that was a cool play. An awesome job by him to get in the end zone. That makes it that much more special.
He's look, I say this about your team. You know, there are a lot of people who have contributed to this team being where it is, but Andrew Barry's got to get some credit too because that roster is a good and deep roster. Nobody heard of Jerome Ford on Labor Day, last Labor Day, but that guy, he is an NFL running back right there.
No, I completely agree, man. And listen, this organization has been great. And I mean, listen, he brought me in. He was willing to give me a chance. So like, you know, I was watching these guys at home, and you lose Nick Chubb. I mean, that's a big deal. That dude is the real
Yeah.
deal. And then for them to continue to be able to run the ball they have, the way we have most of the year has just been incredible. And a lot goes, all those guys, Andrew, and everybody else. It's awesome.
Last thing I would ask you is, and it really is curious to me, you're a kind of a child of the East and you've lived on the East Coast and then you played at Delaware, you played for the Ravens, and obviously you know the Baltimore Cleveland thing. Of all the teams you could have gone to, how weird is it that you went to the team that, I mean, there are people who grow up in Cleveland who will hate the Ravens just
Yeah.
irrationally for the rest of their lives. And now you were on that team. You were Baltimore's quarterback come to save their season. Is that kind of weird?
Definitely a little strange, it just shows you though, like I mean, football is football, man, and people like to see good football. So if you can give that to them in any way, um, then they're going to enjoy it. You could this city's unbelievable. You know, it's you can tell they're hungry for some good football, and they've been nothing but just like I said, unbelievable since I've been here, and you can just feel it, man. The stadium last night was electric. It was an unbelievable environment, and that goes to all the fans that were at the game, all this whole city. It was incredible.
I bet deep down you'd love to go to M&T Bank Stadium for a playoff game, wouldn't you?
Oh my gosh. Listen, I don't really have any preferences, to be honest with you. Those guys are a really good football team. So
Yeah.
you got to be careful what you're asking for with that. But you, you, you know, it's crazy how things work out. And like I said, we're just trying to stay in the moment here, and we're going to say it and probably till we're blue in the face, take it week by week. But that's what we're doing, and I think that's a credit to Kevin once again.
Joe Flacco, one of the great stories in sports. I think it's been so much fun to watch you, and I'm sure it's fun to be you right now. So congratulations on everything that's happened so far.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Peter.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.